American Diner Stories. We're here in Union City, 4-Star Diner, with academic and poet John Trigonis. He's joined us to tell us about his diner experiences.
Yeah, that's good. I know John for a lot of years. He's a good guy, and he's given me a lot of advice on like fleshing out American Diner Stories, the documentary, and now he's going to tell us a little something insider about our podcast and how to move forward. But he has a great connection to the diner scene in our local area.
Really excited and interesting to hear his stories.
All right, John, come on into the podcast. Welcome to American Diner Stories.
Welcome.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's
First
cool.
of
It's
all.
cool. Okay, so we created a couple of mini videos that we put on our Instagram and our Facebook. Have you seen them?
Not yet.
I've
been
Okay, that's cool.
a little sadly a little busier than I like to be,
Well,
but I am gonna get to them.
Okay.
Because I usually get to videos once a week, and yeah, it's on tap. I promise.
Okay.
Okay.
Because we wanted to know, like, if you can, then critique us, because
Mhm.
there's little snippets. Basically, I look at television, because we shoot them
Yeah.
on my cell phone. That's right, we shoot everything on the cell phone, even though I have all the camera equipment. And we have great audio. We know that's the goal.
Yes.
And then we have to come up with a story, what American Diner Stories is. And I think a lot of people, like, we've been telling, oh, it's this and that, but we really have to define it more so more people understand where we're coming from.
Well, I think it's a story that'll flesh itself out as you document.
Yeah.
More things come out.
Yeah.
And even myself, I have a lifetime in the diner business. I'm learning as we go. It's interesting. I'm learning as I do this.
No, I
And
understand.
There's something organic about letting it happen. I actually just read a book by David Lynch that he wrote a while back. And he basically says, like, he sometimes has no idea about where the end, the middle of a story is, and he has to basically work through it with his crew, but mostly it's working within himself to, like, kind of figure it out. And then sometimes he has footage, and he has no idea what it's going to be doing until, like, months later, it'll be like, oh, that's why I shot that. Oh, that's how that fits in.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, and I find that even in the stuff that I do is like, you got to have faith in the process,
Right.
and that what you're shooting is good. And if it doesn't fit yet, it's going to fit because you shot it for a reason, even if we don't actually know the reason.
Okay. Was that
Which
his
is-
meditation book?
That's his meditation book.
Was
yeah,
it
yeah. I've
the
been
big
posting a
fish
lot
or
about
the
it.
deep
Catching the Big Fish.
That's
Catching
it.
the big fish.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Good read. I recommend it.
Yeah. And if you're, because out in podcast land, we're actually at the 4-Star Diner again in Union City, New Jersey.
Almost heaven, Union City.
Yes. Almost. So if you hear noise, that's because we're in a diner.
Yes.
We
That's the
actually
way to do it.
Well, speaking from Greek to Greek, one of the traditional questions we always ask each other is, what part of Greece is your family from?
It's a good question. Still learning that. Actually, but I do know my dad. He was from Athens. My mom was born here,
Okay.
and I actually recently just found that out. But my dad was born in Greece, and he grew up in Athens. He actually owned a luncheonette, and his dad owned a luncheonette coffee shop in Greece.
Cool.
And that's kind of how he got into the business, and then he came over here and did all that stuff. But yeah, so he was kind of grew up in Athens, then left Greece during the when communism was kind of running rampant through Europe.
Yeah.
And lived in Romania for a time, and then
Oh.
joined the Merchant Marines, jumped ship when he got over here because of a little appendicitis.
Yeah, okay.
That he had to they had to leave him, because he had to have surgery, and they're
Yeah.
like, well, we can't wait for you. So he left, and then he's like, all right, well, I'm going to New York.
That's cool.
Cool.
That's a cool, that's a real immigrant story, right?
Yeah.
They come here.
And it's a frequent story told by Greek who came in that era that they
Yeah.
joined the Merchant Marines or worked on or another ship.
Yeah.
And then once they got to New York or San Francisco, they
Just left. Where did you grow up?
Weehawken, so right over here. I did grow up a little bit in Bergen County because on the weekends when I was a kid, I would go see my brother who got married, when he was quite young. Yeah.
Now, when we interviewed Bill Anacostas, how am I saying?
Agnostis.
Agnostis, the owner here, he said on the deed it says Weehawken. So this used to be Weehawken at one
I
point.
had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't know that either, but he was like, the deed, it says Weehawken, and there's a slice.
The original deed.
The original deed.
Not the present deed.
Yeah, the original.
Right.
Original
Yeah.
So then that's why there's a cemetery right down the end of the street here. It's the Weehawken Cemetery.
I never put two and two together. I always wondered, why the heck is our cemetery so far?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that's
and it's almost like because part of this is like North Bergen too.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like a weird cross intersection where it's like sometimes you're in one of those three, I guess now. But
Yeah.
but technically now it's all Union City, and then
Yeah.
North Bergen. That's interesting.
No, that's why coming to the diner is a little bit of history,
Yeah.
Yes.
and that's what we kind of like
Yes.
coming out of it.
You mentioned your dad having a luncheonette in Athens, but in the United States, was there any diners?
He owned, he owned a luncheonette before I was, the twinkle in his eye, metaphorically. And so I never knew much about that. I think it was in either Hackensack or Weehawken, because he worked the diner scene from Hackensack all the way to like New York City. I know he worked at a club called Excalibur many years ago. I think it was in Jersey City.
Okay.
And then the diner that I remember him working at, he never owned any, throughout my life. But the one that he worked at when I was a kid was the Dino's restaurant in Jersey City, which is right now a El Pollo Supremo.
Oh.
But it was that was where I kind of grew up, and I got my full diner living experience, because he'd have to bring me to work every Saturday. Because my mom died, so he had to take care of me, but he also had to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So he would bring me there, and I'd have like a big bag of my toys with me. He'd sit me at the first booth once you walk in, and I would just spread out my toys. I'd draw on the back of the menus. I was usually drawing the owners because he was a bald guy.
Yeah.
So I used to draw him as a light bulb, and he used to crack up all the waitresses. This is when I was like 7, 8 years old. And then I just sit there for hours just playing with my toys. He always said I was a good kid because I never cried. I never moaned about anything. I just sat there, and as long as I had toys and a working pencil, I could sit there for hours on end.
So you had the artistic streak, because I got to tell you, that's very creative.
Yeah.
7-year-old kid, that's very creative and artistic. So you had that as a small boy, 7 years old. That's a small guy.
Yeah. I started drawing like just the minute I could pick up a pen. I used to draw pictures of just comic book covers, sell them to my family when I was a little older, like 12, 13. I'd sell them to my family for like $1 to $5, depending on how many colors I'd use. Try to make a buck. I had a little allowance, but I was like, there were cool toys out there that I wanted to buy. So had to do what I had to do. But I put that skill to use much better back then than I ever put it to use now. In terms of creativity. But it was fun. It was interesting. But I always had something. My family would make fun of me because I would get a gift at Christmas, and I would actually open the wrapping paper, and the wrapping paper had like He-Man or Ninja Turtles or some cool stuff on it. And they would always get upset with me because I would sit there and I'd ask for a scissor, and I would cut out the pictures on the wrapping paper.
Okay.
And I'd spend more time playing with those and sticking those on like cardboard than playing with the actual toy they spent like $40 buying to make me happy. It's like, we should have just given them some wrapping paper. He'd be, happier than anything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I like the other things, but I don't know. There's just images I always was drawn to.
Yeah.
And I know you're still into collectible toys, right? You do.
Oh yeah. I got back into that. That's a tough hobby.
Do you call them dolls or action figures?
All right, easy there, killer.
They're action
They're action figures, but they're
Yeah,
collectibles.
it's
Like my fiance will say to people like, "Oh yeah, he collects these vintage toys." I'm like, "Collectibles, vintage collectibles that happen to be action figures of my favorite heroes."
Oh my god! If I still had all the original Star Wars one, I'd be rich. Because I had them all, and I played with them. And that's what you're not supposed to do.
Oh, of course, yeah, but we don't know that as kids.
No.
They never tell us that.
So in this sense, because remember I told you a story about the warships? When I was a little kid with Papa would take. So as Greek guys, a little kid, if your family's in the restaurant business, it's in your blood.
Yeah.
And that's cool to hear that story. Drawing, not just bringing the toys, but being creative as a small boy.
No, it's true. Okay, no, for everyone out there who didn't hear the first episode, Glenn used to go to work with his grandpa and play Battleship in the wash sink. So
in the bar sink, I would stop the bar sink and I would have these little toys and have naval battles, and I would put soap in it and make waves and have war.
So, what's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie?
My favorite movie
of
all time. I got two, and I can't decide.
All right, lay it out.
It's The Lost Weekend.
Okay.
It's an old 1940 or 50s film about an alcoholic guy who's trying not to drink, and he goes on a weekend binge. It's great. It's such a great movie. Ray Milland, I think he won an Oscar for that one.
Wow,
if I'm
okay.
not mistaken, and it's great. It's a great film, but more modern, my favorite, and I think my favorite of all time, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay.
Yeah, that one, I saw that at a time in my life where I was going through a breakup, and it just, every note of that film resonated with me, and like, I saw it. I'm notorious for seeing movies multiple times in theaters.
Okay.
So that one I saw about 8 times in a theater. I paid it about 6 of those 8 times.
Wow.
And then I snuck in for double features, see it, and then just stay there.
Okay.
And I've done that with multiple movies. I mean, American Beauty leads the. That used to be my favorite of all time. That was the one that made me want to be a filmmaker.
American Beauty?
Wow. And I saw that 16 times in the theater.
Wow.
Because I was just blown away. It was the first. Before that, it was. I only thought as a kid action movies existed. That's what my dad would bring home from Pathmark. He'd rent them the VHSs. We'd pop them in. It was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It was every Jean-Claude Van Damme film, Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
That's all I thought existed. And then I watched this movie that just messed me up.
Wow.
I was like, what the hell am I watching? This is and I was just, I think I saw it 3 times in that same day.
Wow.
And then I just went back and back and back. And seeing it on the big screen is just, I can't beat it, And I used to then teach it when I would teach screenwriting classes. So I taught that as like, this is a prime example of a great screenplay. Here's why. So it's just, that lived with me for a very long time, that one. But then when Eternal Sunshine came out, it was just, everything kind of hit at the same moment. It was breakup, trying to get over it. This movie, Jim Carrey as an actual actor instead of a comedian.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, this is beautiful. And of course, Michel Gondry is just a fantastic director, and Charlie Kaufman is the best writer Hollywood's ever seen. Small opinions.
What's your favorite movie, Glenn?
My favorite movie of all time: The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Drop the revolver. Leave.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Yanni turned me on to that.
Spaghetti Western.
Yeah.
What's it? Sergio Leone.
Sergio Leone.
Yeah.
And in college, I had these friends who, they loved the Clint Eastwood movies, and I wouldn't watch them because to me they was like corny. Like and they would do these quotes, and I guess 'cause the way they would imitate the movie, I'm like, I don't want to watch this. This sucks. And then fast forward like 20 years, I'm working at the Brookside Diner as a server. And 1 in the morning. And it was how I brought out. I had a to-go order, and big to-go order, and I took everything out of the bag. I put it back into the bag. I gave it to the lady so she would see that I put it together, and she gave me a nice tip. So I walked back. And Yanni says, "I know you. You're Blondie." Like Blondie, I'm thinking of Blondie, the woman singer. I never heard of Blondie. So I said, Stamat, stop it. And he said, "No, you're Blondie. Stop calling me Blondie. He said, don't talk to me like that." He said, "No, it's good. Nikolai, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's a movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly." I'm like, what? So I went home, and Sabrina and I watched it. Wow, it blew me away.
Wow, it's good.
Blew me away.
Yeah, I love those movies.
It was 3.5 hours of
wow. And I only recently saw it for the first time.
Really?
Like probably 2 years ago.
Wow.
I don't know why I never saw it before. I just said, I'm going to catch up on this stuff.
Yeah.
I was blown away. From the music to like just the plot.
Oh, so good.
It's just insane. And of course, Eastwood's just.
Would you agree it's almost Shakespearean?
That's. I mean, as a Shakespearean scholar myself, I concur. I think, I would say that has an epic kind of tragic feel to it for sure. Yeah, I can feel that. Yeah.
I saw Star Wars, 77 or 78, in the theater with Jamie and Whitney Marshak, where I grew up with in Darien, Connecticut, the Darien Playhouse. And at the end, we saw we were in the very front of the house. So you got that neck, you're craned up and you're looking. And that changed my life because Star Wars was like the first movie that I saw that was like, pow, good and evil. Like now you're like, what is evil? Like, what's good? Like, and then it goes back to like your parents teaching you that whole stuff.
And would you agree part of the allure of that film is like, because back then the movie theaters usually just had one screen, and it was huge, like 30, 40 feet long, and you see the stars. I mean, would you agree that would be part of the allure that today's smaller screens that wouldn't work as well?
Absolutely, yeah. Like, I mean, those smaller screens, you can't, like, those were made for, like, that kind of a big screen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they, when you use a medium, you kind of have to know all there is to know about that medium and know how the audience is going to react. So, seeing something that massive, when those opening titles come on the screen, you're in for, like, even though it's, 2.5 hours, you are in.
Yeah.
you know, from that moment. And yeah, on a small screen, I honestly don't know if it would have resonated. If George Lucas was around making this film today, with the technology of today, yeah, it'd be a good story.
Yeah.
But it would, you know, be more, I feel like, a copy of a Kurosawa film than ever before, because it's like, it's just copying it on this, you know, for this now audience.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, number one, we don't have the patience for it anymore, I don't think. You know, like, I don't think, and as awesome as that first, you know, Star Wars film is, I mean, you know, there are moments like today's audience just, I don't think they have that attention span to watch it on the big screen. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You can, because it's there. What else are you going to look at?
Right.
But on a small screen, you're not
No.
taking that. No way.
No. I heard Jack White, the guitarist, the guy from the White Stripes, he said basically no one understands cinema anymore because you're too busy looking at your cell phone.
Right.
And you're looking at the most smallest screen ever, and you have to. He goes, get out, go sit in a theater and watch a film. And he said, now you have the total immersion of the.
Well, that's what David Lynch was saying in that book. It's totally a podcast about David Lynch, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not just kidding. But it's basically the same thing. Even though he loves digital video and where it's going.
Yeah.
But he's also saying, like, you know, watching a movie, you have all of these facets that you need to experience, because the director is thinking about all of these things, how the music works, how the audio works. There's a reason the audio in Lost Highway is a certain way, and that you can't kind of hear a lot of it, you know, at the beginning. So everything has a meaning. How can you really get that plugged with headphones plugged in, looking at a tiny screen? You're going to miss all the information. No matter how high def it is, you're going to miss that information on a screen the size of your phone, even though they are getting bigger.
I saw an interview with Benicio del Toro, and he, because he made a comment that he felt that in terms of storytelling, that American filmmaking is almost dead. That that for whatever reason, the attention span, they're not able. It's not that they can't make the movie. It's just it won't be sold. You know, and it was in response to an interview about his movie For Che, which is basically a 5-hour documentary.
Yeah.
And he, which I thought it was a great movie. And even people maybe hate the character, but I thought it was, as a movie, it was great. And to hear him say that I'm just wondering, do you feel the same, like in terms of epic storytelling, like with the good, the bad, and the ugly? Would that resonate today?
I don't think so. They'd have to change it up quite a bit. It wouldn't be the Western hasn't made a comeback in a while, so they would have to do something different. I think the story, though, these stories are universal. Like no matter who we are, no matter how much we evolve, we are still going through the same stuff.
Right.
Always. But yeah, I kind of do agree that the idea of cinema is finished. You know, and it's paved the way for something new, and we don't know what that new is yet. We're still playing with this technology.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, even my buddy Al, who I wrote many films here in this diner with him, and my other buddy Joe Welsky. But even Alan, he has all this great equipment. He has all, you know, and he has a massive amount of knowledge of cinema. But at the end of the day, does he need it? No. It's not going to help get a job. It's not, you know, now they just want content, right?
Yeah.
Content is transient. It lasts the minute you see it, and it's dead the minute you leave it.
Yeah.
And that's it. A film has never been and will never be like that. It may come back, but it'll be a different form.
Right.
Just like resurrection, nothing, you know, film as an energy can neither be created nor destroyed. And just the idea of a film and what that means, it almost doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be on film. I made films for 10 years. I never once shot on a Bolex or a 35 millimeter camera because I don't have the money.
Yeah, that's expensive.
But we shot on DV, but I never once said, I'm making a video.
Right.
So unsexy, a video. Ugh. You know, no. I made a film because it had the elements of a film in it. It had all the things from Joseph Campbell all the way down to, screenplay format by Sid Field, to everything I've learned just by watching movies. That, hopefully we'll be bringing that back. But right now, I think it's got to evolve into something else that can cater to this audience. That's why TV is now the new film.
Yeah, totally.
You know, which is strange because it's even longer.
Yeah.
Like, you can't just watch 2 episodes unless it sucks.
Yeah.
You know, you can just be 2, and I don't need that anymore. But when you get immersed, you're spending 16 hours sometimes getting through a series of 16 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot longer than a film, but they have a whole different formula that pulls you in, keeps you immersed, and it's all, it's also like young actors too. Like it's a young actors world, so they're bringing in the new talent. The old talent is kind of, doing the Expendables now, and, and they are expendable, and that's the joke of it all, but they made their money.
Yeah. Our podcast really is the behind the scenes, and we're collecting the stories as we go, and we're hoping to build a really good audience because we just want to tell good stories.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
You and I have had conversation before. Glenn just met you for the first time, but we want to do like an episodal. We really want to. Our goal is Netflix or Amazon, that business model or watching model. So we really want to do like a 12 episode like documentary.
Yeah.
And now my question to you is, and because I respect your opinion, should we do one story, one episode, or should we interlace 3 stories in one episode and try to drag people along? Not like keep the story fresh.
Totally. That's a great question. I've been watching. I mean, I like Netflix. My fiance Marinelle watches a lot of it, and she's been on this the Story of God kick right now with Morgan Freeman. She loves Morgan Freeman. I mean, who doesn't love Morgan Freeman?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Like when he's gone, the world is gonna mourn, man. I'll tell you that.
I've loved him since Electric Company.
Wow.
I know that movie.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Well, no, that was
a show.
That was a show that competed with
Really?
Sesame Street.
Oh my God.
He was on the Electric Company.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Or Zoom was the other one.
Yeah.
Now we just dated ourselves. That's like the 70s.
73, 74.
Only a few years before that time.
My sister used to force me to watch the Electric Company. She's 6 years older.
The Electric Company.
Yep. And sing the song. That's why I know it.
Oh, you're gonna have to pay those royalties right now.
That's it. No royalties for you.
No.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Wow. So she's been on this kick. So I've been like kind of watching it, and so I think what they're doing is it's one concept, one idea each episode, but there's about 3 to 5 stories intertwined within it.
Okay.
To kind of basically give you an idea of the theme. So if they're like searching for God through meditation, they'll travel to like 3 different places, interview 3 different people, but it all relates to that theme for the episode, which is meditation. So I think something like American Diner Stories, that would be a great format to do.
Right.
Because then you're, and we talked about like having that one episode with the junction, and all that, just kind of the intro, and then maybe 3 diners in the vicinity where everybody kind of knows each other, and so there's a connection there. There's a through line, and then I think the thing is to figure out what the theme of that pilot episode would be. But I think having that strong pilot is key, and then all you got to do, because it's so easy, it's not easy, but all you have to do is just get in touch with Netflix and say, I've got a great idea, and you need to hear it. Who can I pitch this to? And the reason I say that is because I haven't done that with my pilot for my thing, but I'm going to eventually because, there's ways you can do this. You can submit to contests and do this, which is what I've been doing.
Right.
But I'm kind of like, just call up Netflix. Their number's online. And you just kind of have to have a good idea and a strong personality and be able to take a few no's probably.
Yeah.
But kind of just doing that is a way in, because I've definitely been seeing people getting their stuff to Netflix and they're just literally making phone calls.
Should we just talk to them directly? Like even if we do something like, hey, Netflix, we really want to be on Netflix. Can we collaborate? Can we talk? And if we said that every time, do you think that eventually they'd get tired and answer our call?
At least you'll probably get a foot in the door of the room.
Okay.
And that's the thing, is you want to get in the room, because once they see you guys, then you pitch it. But half the time, whoever's answering the phone is just there to basically say no.
Yeah, I got you.
As much as possible. So it's up to us to give them a convincing story.
Okay.
And I think something like this it's ripe. Diners have been around for a very long time.
Yeah.
Everything is story-centric. Everybody wants to see themselves in these characters. So if these characters are real people, it's kind of easier to see yourself in them. And if the stories are intelligible and heartfelt, that's a built-in audience. Yeah, and who hasn't been to a diner? Show me one person in this country at least, but I'm sure all over the world, who has not been in a diner.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And I think diners come in many forms, just because you don't see one in the West Coast that's like this, but there are many that are very similar.
Yeah.
Now, obviously you've been in diners many times. Now you've been in overnight diners, right?
Oh, of course.
Now, have you done?
I actually think that if it's not 24 hours, shit ain't a diner.
Hardcore. I like.
You know
it.
what I'm saying? Like
Go
that's
hard.
why, like, I'm sorry, Brownstone. You close. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, they're not
Work
even
on it.
Brownstone anymore.
I know. Yeah.
It's like
But
Life
I-
Pancake House or something.
Yeah.
Oh,
But in
with
my
like
heart,
brown
it'll always
brown
be.
brick or something.
Brown, yeah.
But yeah, so I've definitely done 24-hour diners.
And so you've done some of your writing
Absolutely.
in the overnight diner.
I mean, me and my buddy Raul Garcia, so also a poet, we would spend. So Als Diner was a place that we went to a lot.
Yeah, on Communipaw.
On Communipaw. Such a great diner. It was so sad when it closed.
Yeah.
I would go there after Taekwondo practice to basically, like at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, breakfast, because, got to have my eggs and bacon and all that stuff back then in college. And we'd eat it. We'd go. Then I'd come back on another day after, a poetry club. I used to run the poetry club at NJCU. We would go there to eat. But me and Raul would spend, just me and him, probably about 4 to 5 hours. It would go into about 2 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd be eating, we're drinking ridiculous amounts of coffee. I mean, just absolutely ridiculous. And sometimes we would be talking about philosophical things. Other times, he'd be flirting with the waitresses. And then other times we would literally just fall silent and just right on the backs.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. We would literally stop, fall silent, turn over our placemats, and right on the backs of the placemats,
Cool.
poems, and then we'd
That's cool.
share them at the end. Just to kind of get just to get it going, and then, and then he had a whole thing where he would leave a poem on a napkin for the waitress, just nothing, lewd or anything. It was just like, he always fell for waitresses.
8,
That was
6,
a big joke.
7, 5.
Yeah. There was a code of phone number digits in the poem somewhere.
my
His
God.
E's were 8s. It just no. But he would leave kind of a poem. And actually, I remember this one waitress. She went to another restaurant and hadn't seen her for years. And Raul wasn't there, but she remembered Raul, and she actually had all of his poems that he had written.
Yo,
And she,
that's
like,
crazy. I
had
love
it
it.
in, like, I
Wow.
guess a locker or something in the place that she was, but it was just like wrapped up in a thing, and it was really cool. Like years later,
Yeah.
So it's like poetry means something. Art
Yeah.
means something to
I
people.
love that. That's a
just
great diner story.
doing
Yeah.
something from the heart means something.
Yeah.
But yeah, hours, 24-hour diners. It had to be because man, by the time we got our creative juices flowing,
Yeah.
it was usually quite late.
Yeah.
And we needed a place where we could, a clean, well-lighted place, as Hemingway would say.
Yeah.
You gotta, some of them were dimly lit, which we liked better.
Yeah.
But it was always clean, and the food was always there.
Cool.
The one thing about diners that helps people is you can go there and usually they don't kick you out. As long
Right,
as you're
right.
eating or drinking and you're not causing like a scene, you can be there. And like you said, after
Yeah.
12 to 24 hours, they don't care. As long as someone's sitting there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, every place I worked. I mean, like now we're working with Yanni. I mean, there have been people who sit sometimes 6, 7 hours. I was, thinking about you, even though I hadn't met you yet. I'm thinking about you, and I would always wonder what would they, you'd see people writing and sometimes reading or sometimes doing both, and 6, 7 hours. It was very. It wasn't free, but over the years, it definitely happened. So
Yeah.
it's-
I think, and we always say,
believe it or not, they had at least when I was a server,
Yeah.
they always left me great tips.
oh yeah,
They did because I left them alone, refilled their coffee. Hello, sir. I never bother, because obviously you're reading or writing, so I'm not going to bother you.
yeah,
Refill you up, take
that's
your
it.
order, and sometimes you get like a 10, 20 spot because they would appreciate it. You left
Yeah.
them alone.
Yeah.
You know,
And sometimes that's what they want.
Yeah, and I never minded it. And to me, my brain, one less table to watch, and I
Yeah,
can
yeah,
focus
yeah.
on
That's
everything
true,
else.
that's true.
That's smart. Yeah.
the concept of me doing a documentary really came. I fleshed it out at a diner in Connecticut called the Plaza, and I would sit at the counter, and I think they had like 8 stools. So it's pre-Y2K, and the owner Damon had like this silver register, with the big buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was
Yeah.
frightened that the computer, and he was a young guy. He was like, it's Y2K compliant already. So the farther you sat away from the register, the wilder the conversations would get, because you weren't right on top of the hostess.
Yeah.
Right.
So where I came up with the counterintelligence was I stole it from one of the guys at the end of the counter because they would have like these wicked conversations, and he said, "This is counterintelligence at its best," and that always resonated with me.
Ah, nice.
So that's where I kind of stole the idea.
Yeah.
And so I've really gone to, and then I'm a big fan of the Humans of New York. I don't know if
Oh,
you,
yep, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So he goes around and gets like a soundbite and takes
Yep.
a picture, and I always wanted to do that. And I thought, wow, the diner's the perfect vehicle because you can meet anyone. And that's really the truth behind the counterintelligence is if you have a cup of coffee and we're at the counter, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And you can, and that's why I wanted to record that. Just grab that.
And that idea of humans in New York, I mean, I worked with, I think Brandon is his name.
Brandon's his name, yeah.
Yeah, I worked with him when I was at Indiegogo because they did a bunch of campaigns through us. So
Yeah.
I was like helping out here and there. But that's like absolutely perfect. Like the way it's just here's a human interest story. You know,
Yeah.
true human interest that we all can relate to in some way. I just think it's that's exactly what this is. And the good thing is you have so many.
Yeah,
So
they're
many
endless.
people.
Now, are you more of a counter guy, or are you more of the single booth? Well, I mean, booth always have two, but you have these small booths. Are you more of the small booth kind of guy?
No, I like the counter. Nowadays, I like counters. So
Okay.
even like when I go to a bar, I'm like, I mean, my fiance will be like, oh, it's through the counter. It's like, tables are overrated, kind of thing. But me and my buddy Raul, we would always do booths. We actually had our booth at Als Diner, especially because we got to know everybody there. So
But if you
So
can go
true.
and grab people and come to the diner because it's safe and hang out and talk, I think that's a great way of relating how the diner is still relevant to community.
Oh, absolutely, that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's all about community.
Yeah.
Like this is like even like when I mean, I remember here at the 4-Star. I'm trying to remember if her name was really Marge, but I called her Marge. Remember?
Yo, I love that.
But
Even if she wasn't. She was.
She was Marge no matter what. But she was this loud, larger than life woman. Too much makeup.
Yo, I love that.
But it worked. And she loved me, my buddy Al, and my buddy Joe.
I love it.
And she came over always talking about her daughter. And then eventually, like, we'd be, like, working on our script, and she would come over and be like, fill up our coffee, always treating us great.
Yeah.
And she would just tell us, like, oh, my daughter married this fucking guy, like, just going off. And then we'd give her advice.
Yeah.
And then, and I think we met her daughter once, too, because her daughter came in. So it was we were coming here for so often, it just was a community. Like, you start coming for the people after a while because you know that, I mean, I don't see him now, and I hope nothing happened to him. But there was a guy at the counter, always the host, with a suit, always wore a dark blue suit
Okay.
and a red tie and just dressed up, pleasant.
Yeah.
Always seated us. But he always knew us, He
Yeah.
was like, oh, these freaking guys.
Yeah.
They've been here for 6 hours, writing stuff. And then we'd ask for Marge's seat. Where was she working today? Oh, she's not working. Oh, okay. Well, we'll take anyone else. That's fine.
You have a regular. That's what I
Yeah,
like.
that's it.
Oh, do you have a favorite diner meal?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
All right.
It's very simple. I've always had it. I might even have it later today. 2 eggs over easy, bacon, side of toast, wheat toast.
Home fries or French fries?
Home fries.
Yeah. Okay.
Home fries with breakfast.
Yeah.
I do love diner French fries, though.
To me, breakfast all day. I'll take scrambled eggs, 2 of them or 3, sausage, well-done home fries, whole wheat toast, cup of coffee. I'm happy.
Mine's always been the chicken marsala extra mushrooms
Extra mushroom.
over rice. Yeah.
He's
Not
always a
linguine.
dark horse. I love
Yeah.
it.
All right. Look at that. Damn.
Now we're hungry, right?
Yeah, seriously.
Okay.
Good
so,
question.
what do you love about the diner experience?
When I was frequenting them a lot, I just liked the connections. Number one, the connections. Number two, the price of the food. The food was, I wrote a poem here called $3.48 because that was the price. And I'm curious to see if it's the same price for a Yankee bean soup, a bowl of Yankee bean.
There
Because
it is.
when I didn't have a lot of money, that was dinner, Yankee bean soup. And it was
Fasolada.
$3.48. And it was delicious, and you come in, you drink it, you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like.
Was it on a Monday they served it?
I think it was actually
Monday.
because they have the.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. It was definitely a special. I know that. So,
Usually Yankee bean soup is at Monday. Sometimes on a Tuesday, but usually most nights that's a
right.
Monday soup. Yankee bean soup.
Who dictates that? Like,
I have no idea, but it's a Thursday split pea.
yeah,
There's a Greek consul that dictates this whole thing for every diner in the
love that. That's funny. Oh, I never paid attention.
Yeah, Sunday's
to the
cream
counter.
of turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Friday's Manhattan or New England clam. Yeah,
Yeah,
Wow,
There's a
Glenn-
certain
Glenn's got it
tradition.
memorized. He's
Yeah.
down. Wow.
Well, he is diner royalty. So.
Yeah, well, no, somewhere there's some Greek council that I've never met, and they,
Yeah, yeah.
they determined it. Because if you go,
It's really what Zeus does now, because after like Christianity came in, the guy was unemployed, so
Oh.
he's just like, all right, guys, we're gonna.
we have to make soups.
Yeah,
we
we
have
got-
to dictate the god of soup.
The Greek god of diner.
But if you go to Kingston, New York, you go to a diner on a Monday night, they're probably going to have Yankee bean soup.
There it is.
I-
I hear road trip.
Yeah, road trip.
Yeah, seriously, guys.
So there's some guy named-
Crowdfunded. Let's go.
Some guy named Panayoti stirring some
Yo, I love that.
some Yankee bean soup.
Yeah, but I think it's really the community and just the food. I can probably count on my one hand how many times I've been disappointed with diner food versus being disappointed with like food from like expensive restaurants and stuff, which is more often than not, it's never worth it.
No.
But when with a diner, you know what you're gonna get,
Yeah.
and the expectation is there,
Yeah.
and it really doesn't ever drop.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is what I need. I need my eggs. You can't
Yeah.
fuck up an egg. Like,
No, it's
bottom
true.
line,
It's right. It's right.
And if that happens, then you really got to reconsider diner life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank John Trigonis
Absolutely.
for joining the American Diner Story family. So until next time, disco fries for all.
We're out.